And we are back at Winter Meetings in San Diego, California. I'm Jennifer Mercedes, La Chica Deportes, and I am joined by Alex Avila, Mr. GM for the Detroit Tigers. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
You are the first-born Cuban-born manager, general manager in Major League Baseball. Is that something that you still carry with you? Is that something very prideful that you still carry?
To tell you the truth, I don't think about it.
Yeah.
No, I don't really think about it. When I first became the general manager, obviously at that point, you're told that, and obviously, I feel you feel pride and honored after a long career. So it's 18 years with the Tigers and 10 years with the Marlins, and so it's been a long career.
Now you've been part of acquiring players such as Miguel Cabrera, Edgar Renteria, and many, many other, Luis Castillo, to name just a few. What do you think about the role that you've played in this great game of baseball with the Detroit Tigers?
Well, it's very exciting. I mean, if you go back to the Florida Marlins, and one player that I signed, Liván Hernández. Liván became the MVP. I mean, he won the World Series, for the first World Series in Miami. So that for me was very exciting, and obviously, Miguel came right after that, and so that's how I started. I started scouting in Latin America, all of Central America, South America, the Caribbean islands, and that's where I started in professional baseball. So that's taken me to the front office, and but still that's my expertise.
And now we've seen more and more as the years have gone by. Latinos have always been a staple in baseball, but mostly on the field. But as years have gone by, we see more and more front office, now more and more managers. We have added to that list Carlos Beltran. Can you speak to me a little bit on that and that diversity that is growing? Well,
the diversity is growing. I mean, in baseball right now, there's close to 30% of Latinos in baseball. So that's a big percentage. And in minor league baseball, even more so. It just seems like every time that you're going to do a player acquisition or player movement, it's a Latin player. So there's a lot of Latin coaches now in the minor leagues, and they've come up now to the major leagues, and now you're seeing people that are being managers, coaches, instructors. So and then some guys like me have trickled up to the front office. Yeah. So. It's obviously a very positive thing, and something that the people, us in the Latino community, pay attention to. And it's just continuing education, though. You got to continue to learn and continue to grow.
Now, talking about the Detroit Tigers, you've said that this is a young team and it's time to rebuild. What have you learned in the process of this rebuilding stage?
It's very hard. Well, I've gone through it before. We went through it in Miami. We went through it when I first got here to Detroit. We went through it. And it's a very painful process in trading, players that are popular that you like. But sometimes it is a necessity. And you talk to other general managers, and sometimes there is a cycle of life in baseball for a team. So at this part, a lot of that, the difficult part of trading, players that you like, the fans like, is over. And so, we're concentrating now on trying to, add now to the, little by little. We're taking baby steps as we move forward. So now we got to build it back. We got to, work on putting a winning team on the field, and that's a process that's going to take a little bit of time.
Now, for the fans, it's also a difficult process to be in that rebuilding period. During that rebuilding stage, can you still see great baseball be played?
Exactly. Well, there's obviously there's some frustration, and there's patience that are needed. And we in the front office in our baseball operations, sometimes it's hard to have patience, and we understand the fans want a better team, and we understand that we want a better team. So, but sometimes you have to let it take its course, and you have to have patience in that the young players have to develop. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to need to make adjustments along the way, and so. But at the same time, you want to have a good competitive team on the field. The addition of hiring a veteran manager like we did in Ron Gardenhire is to make sure that those players are out there hungry every day. But in saying that, because they are young, because they want to establish themselves, they come in to play hard every day. They come in hungry every day. So in essence, they put a good show on the field.
Now, the Tigers have a good core of Latino players. How has the Detroit Latino community embraced them?
Well, we don't have a big population in Michigan as far as Latinos, but I think our players are followed, worldwide. I mean, Miguel Cabrera is very popular in Venezuela. Obviously, he's very popular in South Florida, and we have other players that from different countries that are followed by by their fans from their countries. But in Michigan, our Latin community in Michigan is not too big, but they are involved. They do follow it, and so obviously, when we add a Latino player, our mindset is, we want him to produce. We want to put a winning team on there. So it's more of a, what can he bring to the organization?
What does success look like during a rebuild team, during a rebuild year?
Well, success, it comes in performance, and you want your players to be better, to get better as we speak. So week by week, month by month, year by year, you want to see progress in your young players. So, and that's development. Now, in saying that, we know that not every player is going to develop, and it's not, and they all have different time frames also as they achieve the final line.
Yeah.
And so that's the difficult process. So for us, success is having those players get better, and then eventually being able to win games. And so at the end, the final say is win games. So
does the manager have that same leeway of developing in themselves too?
Well, you're talking about as far as growing in the business. Yeah. Absolutely, and in the minor leagues there is a process. So you give guys the opportunity to either coach or manage in the minor leagues. They get experience. They get a job at the major league level where they can become a hitting coach or a bench coach, and so they get experience in different facets of the game. So the more experience you get, the more that, let's say, you have success in the areas that that you're working in, then opportunities come.
Yeah. Now, two more questions. One, let's say you're going to have a Cuban Fair at your home and you're inviting all the players. What dishes are you serving?
Well, traditionally in my family, actually that's a good question. When Alex with the Tigers, and we had Anibal Sanchez with the Tigers, they got together and they did a pig roast. Oh. So obviously, for us, and where it's like in Christmas time, we would have a pig roast, and then you would have the rice, the black beans, and so that's a kind of a staple for us.
Yeah, lechon, love it. Everything. And lastly, I was able to visit Detroit during the recession, and when I saw, it was a mess, right? But it's rebuilt. The city has rebuilt. Yes. How did you guys get through it? How did the Tigers get through it?
That's a great question, because when I first got there, obviously there was a big recession. Downtown was
it was boarded up.
Yeah, there was nothing there. I mean, you would go through Woodward Avenue and there was all boarded up. Right now, you go through Woodward Avenue and it's thriving. Every building is there's businesses there, there's hotels, there's restaurants, there's bars, there's shops, and there's people on the streets.
Yeah.
So they're building apartments. I mean, right now, it's funny to say this because there's a waiting list to get an apartment.
And that's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Right?
And so young people are coming in every day as we speak. So yeah, it's thriving right now. It's very exciting to be there. And our owner Chris Illich obviously was part of the growing that city and all the investments that he put in there. So it's been an exciting time, and I was fortunate enough to be there now 18 years and see it go from
where it was to where it is now. And it's, when I tell you there were buildings going for just a couple $1,000s at that time. So yes, it's amazing to see the growth and hope to see the continuing growth of Detroit and the Tigers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on here with us and taking some time and letting the fans get to know you a little bit more.